Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to apply some of the strategies and concepts that we have seen so far in the Greece crisis. On this purpose, we will analyze three different matrices. Greece before December 24, 2009 does nothing. Athens approves the state budget for 2010, marked by an intention to reduce the public deficit from 12.7% of GDP in 2009 to 9.1% in 2010. In December 2009, the Commission called Athens' attention to the possible repercussions of these events in the Eurozone, and the ECB urged the Papandreou executive to take action. Later in February 2010, it was announced that the largest bank in the United States, Goldman Sachs, promoted transactions that allowed the former Greek government to hide billions of euros in debt from European authorities, according to the New York Times. On March 2010, the heads of state and government of the Eurozone agreed on the mechanism to proceed, if necessary, to the rescue of Greece. It had to be approved unanimously by the 17 members of the Eurozone. Bilateral loans from members of the Euro and credits from the IMF were contemplated. So in 2009, Greece had two options: to deal with the debt crisis or to go to the US bank to accept foreign investment, avoiding facing the situation. Likewise, the European Union had two other options: to advise and guide Greece or to intervene in the country. Now, let's focus on each outcome. 10-10 The EU advises and Greece accepts the foreign investment. In this case, both maintain their international reputation, the EU by warning of the bad situation and showing interest in its members, while Greece maintains it by hiding its debt. 10-5 The EU warns Greece without compromising its funds, but Greece copes with the crisis by taking measures to reverse the situation without the help of the EU. That is why the EU gets 10 points, because it gets credits without much effort, and Greece gets -5 points because it faces the debt alone. -5-10 The EU intervenes, compromising its funds, but Greece does not commit the crisis and goes to the US bank behind the EU back. Therefore, the EU gets -5 points while Greece gets 10 points. 5-5 If the EU intervenes, it compromises its funds, and if Greece confronts the debt crisis, it will accept internationally its mismanagement. What is more, its society will suffer. That is why each one gets 5 points. After having explained each outcome, let's analyze each player's strategies. If Greece goes to the US bank, the EU's best response is to advise, and if Greece deals with the debt crisis, it is better for the EU to advise. Therefore, advise is the strictly dominant strategy for the European Union. On the other hand, if the EU advises, Greece's best response is to go to the US bank, while if the EU intervenes, the US bank is again the best option for Greece. That's why going to the US bank is the strictly dominant strategy for Greece. As we can see, 10-10 is the Nash equilibrium because it is the best response for both players individually. However, collectively, Nash equilibrium is not the optimal outcome since the debt crisis will continue its course, and here is where we apply the prisoner dilemma, because the best outcome for both players would be 5-5, since they actually face the situation and solve it. Let's continue with the second matrix. In January 2010, the Papandreou executive presented in Brussels an austerity program aimed at reducing the public deficit from 12.7% of GDP to 2% in 2013. Later in February, the European Commission approved the Greek austerity plan, but recommends cutting wages. Brussels announces that it will exercise unprecedented vigilance for compliance. In April-February 1, negotiations officially begin between the Greek government, the European Commission, the European Central Bank, and the IMF to specify the details of the aid mechanism for eventual activation. So in 2010, Greece has two options: to continue with the austerity package, which obviously doesn't solve the problem, but at least it improves it, and it maintains Greece's international reputation. Or to impose a tougher austerity package that would solve the situation, but it would imply acknowledging government mismanagement. Likewise, the European Union has another two options: to grant a small loan without additional austerity measures, with the possibility of issuing more loans if they are not enough. This option would cover the EU's reputation while protecting its funds. Or to grant a larger loan with additional severe austerity measures that would compromise its funds seriously. Now let's focus on each outcome. 5-5 They both know that the smaller loan and the austerity package solve the problem only provisionally, but internationally they protect their reputation and are tackling the debt crisis, so both benefit and each one gets 5 points. 5-5 The EU gets the credit for taking care of its members without spending a lot of money, but the greatest effort is made by Greece imposing tougher austerity measures, so the EU gets 5 and Greece gets -5. -5 The EU spends its money on a large loan, while Greece does not take responsibility, but the debt crisis is solved by the EU, so Greece takes advantage of the loan, without imposing very severe measures. That is why the EU gets -5 points and Greece gets 5 points. 10-10 The EU takes full responsibility for its member and Greece equally for its problem, so the problem is solved and both wins. After having explained each outcome, let's analyze each player's strategies. If Greece chooses to continue with the austerity package, the EU's best response is the smallest loan, while if Greece chooses to enforce a tougher austerity package, the EU's best response is the larger loan. On the other hand, if the EU chooses the smaller loan, Greece's best response is to continue with the austerity package, while if the EU chooses the larger loan, Greece's best response is to enforce a tougher austerity package. So, this matrix has two Nash equilibriums, therefore, we cannot solve it like the previous matrix. Instead, we are going to use two different strategies, the payoff dominance and the payoff risk dominance. With the payoff dominance, players will choose 10-10, because the outcome is better than 5-5. As we explained before, it is better to solve the problem permanently than temporarily. With payoff risk dominance, each player's decision depends on their own level of risk aversion. Let's assume that the European Union is a random machine. If it chooses the small loan, it gets 5 multiplied by 0,5 plus 5 multiplied by 0,5 equals 5. If it chooses the big loan, it gets -5 multiplied by 0,5 plus 10 multiplied by 0,5 equals 2,5. Therefore, the European Union will choose the small loan because the payoff is bigger than the risk. And Greece will choose in the same way. If it chooses to follow the austerity package, it gets 5 multiplied by format equals null 0,5 plus 5 multiplied by 0,5 equals 5. If it chooses to enforce tougher austerity packages, it gets -5 multiplied by 0,5 plus 10 multiplied by 0,5 equals 2,5. Therefore, Greece chooses to enforce tougher austerity packages because the payoff is bigger than the risk. So, following the payoff risk dominance strategy, the equilibrium is 5-5. In this last matrix, we will see the following. The European Central Bank has reduced by 200 million euros, at the request of the Bank of Greece, the ceiling of credits that Hellenic banks can request through the Liquidity Provision Mechanism, ELA. According to the Bank of Greece in a statement, the reduction in the maximum credit ceiling is a consequence of the improvement in the liquidity of the banking system, the reduction of uncertainty, and the stabilization of private sector deposits. However, the Greek debt being so much, the IMF board believes that for the debt to be sustainable again it will possibly require a greater relief from European partners, but also measures for the economy to grow. Despite the enormous sacrifices of Greece and the generous support of European partners, further relief may be necessary to restore debt sustainability. So, in this situation, Greece has two options. The first one would be to reduce its own debt. Reducing the Greek debt would mean returning the money loaned to the European Union, and would make Greece not have to cut the internal economy. The second one is the increase in its own debt. Increasing the Greek debt would imply making an increase in the Greek economy and cutting in certain budgets and balances. In the case of the European Union, we have another two options. The first would be to increase the aid budget, which would imply a greater intervention of the countries of the Eurozone in order to motivate and support the internal economy of Greece. The second option would be to reduce budgets at the request of Greece, which for the European Union is not bad since it does not have to invest more money in helping Greece. Now let's focus on each player's strategies. -10-5. If the EU increases the aid budget, the partner countries will have to disperse a greater amount of money, but this will promote the reduction of the Greek debt due to the package of measures. Min-max for Greece. 10-10. Greece is in an increasingly stable economic situation and asks the EU to reduce the budget allocated therefore, the EU stops sending money that countries can allocate to other issues, and the situation of Greece does not require such severe external intervention. That would be the max. -5. The EU is forced to increase the budget, and this would cause the Greek debt to increase, and therefore would have to make economic cuts in social items such as pensions. Hellenic citizens would take their discontent to the streets with protests and demonstrations. 10-5. The EU does not intervene as much in the Greek economy, therefore Greece would be forced to manage the aid package within its own budgets. This would be carried out through the Greek banks and all those entrepreneurs who invested their money in them. Therefore it would depend on external liquidity outside of European funds. Min-max for the European Union. Therefore, we must say that the best solution in this case would be for the European Union to reduce the budgets at the request of Greece, but as long as the Greek debt is not to be regretted, that is to say that the internal economy could be strengthened thanks to the Greek creditors and that the European Union did not have to invest more in the process of recovery of the Greek country. Thank you very much for your attention. We hope this was an interesting way to see how you can apply game theory into real-life problems.